Hi guys, Fernandes Lembo, the state semifinal edition of On the Grid.
Yep.
One game, one team. We hope it's 2 games ultimately for local participants.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Braden River hosting St. Thomas Aquinas, and on the phone we got Pirate head coach Curt Bradley. Curt, thanks a lot for joining us here.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Curt, we'll just go back and forth here with John and I, but obvious question. Tremendous opportunity, tremendous challenge for you guys tomorrow night. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for the program. I feel like every week it's been the biggest game in program history, and that's kind of been the theme for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and this week's no different. And our kids have risen to the challenge every step of the way, and expect the same thing tomorrow evening.
Coach, obviously you guys won a big game on the road last week in Plant City, but your home crowd has really become kind of the cliched 12th man for you guys, Section E. How nice is it to have this game at home? I mean, A, it saves you the long bus ride, and B, to have that great crowd behind you in a game this big.
Yeah, it's multifaceted as far as that goes. Home field advantage is somewhat limited in the playoffs. We don't get the introduction that we usually have and those things, and the announcers have to remain neutral. But Section E will show up in a big way. Another component is, obviously being, that's a long road for St. Thomas to travel, and also, they're a field turf team, and we have a grass/dirt field at our place, so
right.
We feel like we're comfortable on that field. So that's something that we feel like it kind of plays into our hands as well.
Coach, I spoke to the Flanagan head coach, Devin Bush, whose team only lost by 5 points, and I said, when you look at St. Thomas Aquinas, what do you see? And he was quick to say that they're loaded athletically, a lot of positions, a lot of pure athletes. When you see them on film, what do you see?
Yeah, everything that coach said, and it's the state Final Four. We expect whoever we play is going to be very good, and St. Thomas is no different. I know they're a little banged up, and we're a little banged up, but they're big up front. They're athletic, and they have a lot of depth. They have a lot of guys that play multiple snaps and multiple reps, multiple positions. Obviously in a program of that size, depth is huge this late in the playoffs.
Coach, everyone knows where this program came from a few years ago to where it is now. The group of seniors that you have, obviously they're talented on the field, but what is their makeup off the field that they're able to kind of rise to where you guys were and bring this program to where it is now?
Yeah, that group of seniors, I was talking to Don French, one of the assistant principals at the school this week, and he's just saying how obviously it changed the program, but this group has changed the school, and you talk about not even, this group of just football players. You got, the Tyler Dysons of the world that signed a scholarship to play baseball at Florida, and you've got, a lot of softball players that signed to play at different schools. And this group has just completely changed the dynamics of the school, where, athletics is something that's important, and this is, kind of a school of pride that's been instilled, and, we get better attendance at basketball games, better attendance at baseball and softball games because of this group of seniors and what they've been able to accomplish in 4 years.
Coach, we spoke earlier, a few days ago. When you look at St. Thomas Aquinas, you said their defense, very few teams can move the ball on them consistently. But I would think that's key for you. Keep the chains moving and help keep their offense off the field, right?
Yeah, I opened up the newspaper this morning and it looks like we're in St. Thomas land with your article, Mr. Fernandes.
Okay, let's start over.
No, you guys got a job to do. You guys do an awesome job with the chops. But
I know you are.
we've got, in my opinion, we've got one of the best offensive coordinators around, not even around in the state. Coach Tanner does an awesome job, and he's done everything possible to put many points on the board this year, despite injuries and those things, and all the confidence in the world in him and Jake and the offensive line and the skill guys to go out there and get the job done tomorrow night.
Coach, I'm always giving the opponent. That's why I'm so well liked around the area.
Exactly. I see.
But Coach, you talked about your team status. Very rarely have you gone into a game being the underdog, and I think if you were to talk to quote unquote the local pundits, they're few and far between. You guys are going into this game as the underdog. Can you use that as motivation, or how do you approach that, or do you even address it?
Well, this team knows what knows what it's like to be underdogs of 40 points, and knows what it's like to be a favorite of 40 points in 4 years. So we've been here before. So that's something that these young men they don't buy into all that. They show up and they work hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They review Thursday, and they play their hearts out Friday night. And expect nothing less. And there's no other group of young men that we'd rather go into battle with, so to speak, tomorrow night.
Well, I think that's it for me.
Coach, that's it for both of us. We really appreciate you taking the time on a very busy week, very big game tomorrow. We'll both be up there. Hopefully we'll talk to you after a big Braden River win tomorrow night, Curt.
That's the plan. Thanks a lot, John. Appreciate you guys. Everything you guys do.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye-bye. I like the shot maker he gave me. I love stuff like that.
The shot maker?
The shot maker.
That's what you call that?
Pick up the paper and...
What's a shot maker? I'm not familiar.
That's what we use in sports. Like, a little bit over the bow.
I don't work in sports, so I
sort of
don't know
like
what that means.
Exactly. We never see that. When you look at the game...
right.
Obviously it's their athletes against St. Thomas Aquinas' athletes.
Right.
So what do you see? He just explained it. What do you see Braden River having to do in this game?
I think they have to be, I hate to use the word perfect,
right?
But you can't give Aquinas anything. Last week against Plant City, we were talking about this before he came on the air, 2 big turnovers for Braden River. One, Ryan Newsall had the ball punched loose at about the 4-yard line, would have been a touchdown. And then Jacob Huseman fumbled the handoff exchange at the 20. They got deep inside Plant City, didn't score twice. They still won by 10 points. You can't do that against Aquinas. If you're playing Aquinas and you're deep in Aquinas territory, you have to get points. You cannot give the ball away. Think back to 2009 when Manatee beat Aquinas by 8 points, okay? Right. Manatee dominated that game. They were the better team that night. Yet Aquinas stayed in the game in the first half because Manatee had a special team snafu and they scored a touchdown. Okay, you can't give Aquinas anything. That to me is the number one thing that they have to do tomorrow night. They have to really be careful with the football. And like I said, you have an opportunity to take it, and you can't give them any extra opportunities. It's like in baseball. Can't give them any extra outs. You can't give Aquinas any extra chances. I mean, you can't have any dumb penalties, like personal foul penalties to extend drives. You can't give them good field position. You have to pretty much make them have to beat you.
And the short fields, like no turnovers.
Right, exactly.
The Flanagan said, Coach, that's a sure way of death, is giving them 50 yards or 40 yards to operate on.
Yeah, head start, yeah.
Yeah, but you've seen Braden River. The strength of their team is kind of their offensive line.
Right.
Very powerful.
We'll have a story on them on the website later.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
It sort of combats or goes against what the strength of Aquinas is, their defense. But you mentioned injuries. Their quarterback, Jake Allen, should be back for the game. But the big one is All-American Nick Boza, defensive end, won't be there.
He's been a few weeks. And Jake came back. Allen came back last couple weeks. Right. He's been back.
Right.
Yeah, Nick's been out since October 30th with a knee injury.
Right.
He's a Ohio State commit. His brother is Joey Bosa. He's just named the Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year for the second year in a row. Their dad, John Bosa, he played for the Dolphins for 3 years. So that's a pretty good football family.
It is.
Will it make an impact? I'm sure it will. But they've won without him the last few weeks. But obviously, when that's going to take something away. But yeah, I mean, I think. Like you told Curt Bradley, they gotta move the chains, keep them off the field. But I think the most important thing, and I'll say it again, is just play near perfect. No big mistakes against Aquinas. Aquinas is too talented to just hand opportunities to.
Before these rounds, you can look back at common opponents and say, well, this team did this,
right.
This team. But you get to this level, there aren't no more common opponents.
It's really tough, and it's funny because this will be the 6th time I've seen Aquinas in my 10 years here. So,
right.
But it's hard to compare teams. But Aquinas every year they reload. I mean they always have the big scholarship guys, the NFL guys. So they're going to have athletes. They're going to be quick. They're going to be big. All that going in. Roger Harriet's the head coach, first-year head coach. He actually was at Manatee a couple years ago. Manatee beat University back in 2013. Last time we saw Roger Harriet. But again, he's an Aquinas grad. Spent a year at FAU. So what you're going to get from Aquinas. They're big. They're going to be big, physical, fast. They're going to play really good football. And let's see if Braden River can match them blow for blow.
You talk about Harriet. Some coaches have to come in and rebuild. This guy comes in, 100 players on the roster, 40
State
seniors.
championship last year.
I mean, talk about being handed the keys to a Porsche.
Right.
And basically keep it out of the ditch. And pretty much he has. They lost to Deerfield Beach,
yeah, by a field,
6-3.
6-3.
Yeah, mistakes, but every other game other than the one against Flanagan, they won by 20, 25 points.
Yeah, you're right in that sense, but I think when you're giving the keys to the Porsche, you better the Porsche better come back into the garage.
Right.
You know, so I think, but I think that's a bit of a high pressure job.
Sure.
You know, I mean, and it's funny, you have Coach Bradley coming in here back in 2012 with not a whole lot of expectations, and it took him a few years to build to where it is now, and now there's Coach Harriet, where, you know, if this team loses on Friday or wins on Friday and loses next week, you know, Aquinas is kind of like, you know, the Yankees, the Red Sox. It's state championship or bust.
Right.
So while it might seem like, hey, you walk into this great situation, there's some pressure there, I think, to, you know, I mean, 9 or 10 wins is not enough if you're not the team holding the trophy at the end of the season.
You know, when you have 17 of your players on NFL rosters, when you've won 8 straight titles next to Jacksonville.
34 postseason appearances.
You're absolutely correct. You expect victory, and anything less is a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because you look at these two sides, and if Braden River does lose tomorrow night, they'll be disappointed, they'll be upset. But no one's going to look at Braden River's season and say, wow, we underachieved. If Aquinas loses on Friday, or if they win Friday and lose next week, it's going to be like, what happened this year? That's, you know, it's kind of like, you know, in a sense, Venice volleyball. I mean, this year, obviously, the Venice team, they kind of overachieved in the big going to the state semifinals. Sure. But, I mean, every year, Venice begins a season with the state championship goal in mind, and so does Aquinas football. It's, you know, that, you know, like I said, a 2 or 3 playoff wins is not enough for Aquinas. With what they've built, it's state championship, or, you know, the year never really happened.
I hope this game, and there's no indication that it will, I hope this game isn't decided by turnovers. I hope both teams play turnover-free, and it's really decided by the guys on both sides of the line of scrimmage, I would hope.
Right, and, you know, if it is by turnovers, you hope they're kind of the turnovers that the defense earns.
Right.
Not like, you know, just really strange throws in the coverage or just bungled snaps and stuff like that. You know, you're right. You want to see both these teams at their best. I think Braden River has a shot. Right. I really do. I mean, I know they're playing Aquinas and the history, but I think if they go in there and they play really good, sound football, I think they'll beat in it at the end. Will it be enough to beat Aquinas? I don't know, but I think they got a shot. I really, really do. I don't think this is going to be Aquinas coming in here and it's their coronation and Braden River's happy to be here. I think Braden River, I'll say one thing, I don't think they're afraid. You know, I mean, I don't think they're a cocky group or an arrogant group, but, you know, Coach Bradley, you know, he knows these guys have been through a lot, this team. I mean, losing 9 games. I mean, Alex Ligero, the offensive lineman, he was a starter on the one in 19. He remembers all those beatings they took. So, you know, I mean, nothing to be afraid of. Go out there and play your best football and see what happens. But I'm with you. I want to see these teams at their best, and I want to see a team earn this rather than have someone give it to them.
I know people are picking Aquinas, but to me, we've both seen a lot of football games. I think the longer that Braden River hangs in there and stays close, further into the game we get, maybe Aquinas being on a visiting field, maybe they get a little bit tight in the throat, like we were expected to beat this team, and here we are in a dogfight in the third or fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but I mean, a team that's won a state title, I think it's hard to kind of phase them in that sense, you know. But I do think if you should go blow for blow. I mean, look, they won 60-7 last week.
Right.
You know, we don't know what's in their heads. I mean, we don't know how confident they are about this game. We're not in their locker room. We're not at their practices. But, you know, there could be some truth to that. If Braden Rivers stays with them and takes Aquinas' best blows and keeps standing, that might be enough to rattle Aquinas a little bit. But I really think Braden River has a great shot tomorrow night. And I think if they go in there and they play their best football, I wouldn't be surprised if they won.
If they won. Just briefly, we talked about their uniforms are in the locker. Charlotte, Naples last week. We picked kind of a close game, ended up being a blow. Were you kind of surprised that Charlotte was able to get manhandled like that? Or
I was surprised about the 0. I mean, Naples must be a heck of a team to slow that offense down. It's crazy. In my numbers game, I mentioned even with that shutout, Charlotte still averaged over more than 38 points a game this year. So to shut a team like that out, pretty impressive. And you know, again, a great year by Charlotte. I remember Binky telling us on the show that you can go 12-1 or 11-1 and wake up that Saturday and feel bad about your year when you get that far. But I don't think anyone in Charlotte has anything to hang their heads on. I mean, a 12-1 season. He was named Coach of the Year in Class 6A.
Sure.
Curt Bradley, Coach of the Year in Class 7A. They're both up for the overall Coach of the Year award. So, you know, not the way that they wanted to end the season in Charlotte, but you know, 12-1 with the points they scored, you'd be hard-pressed to call it a bad year if you're a Tarpons fan.
A little disappointing, but definitely not a bad year.
Well, yeah, I mean, the further you get, the more disappointed you are when the season ends. You know, I mean, you want to keep the train going, but like I said, I mean, there are plenty of teams in the area, in the state, in the country who would take 12-1 in a regional championship game.
Exactly.
Not Aquinas, though.
Right, not Aquinas, which is why they expect in the Ron Hots to win tomorrow night.
Right. Well, they should. Both teams should.
Well, both teams when you
Yeah.
reach this level.
Yeah.
Or one game. We hope it's two for Braden River.
Right.
And if it is two, we'll be here next week on the grid breaking down the state title game. But even if Braden River loses, I think there's plans to keep us going this winter. The response to On the Grid has been overwhelming. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And we got some good winter sports, some good winter athletes, good winter teams. So there's plenty to talk about this
But we got
season.
to change On the Grid to off the court, on the court.
Let's ask the viewers. Tell us, what should we name the show? Keep it clean.
Right. We both have our email addresses. So big game tomorrow night. And again, we'll be back next week regardless of how Braden River does tomorrow night.
We'll be here.
So for John Limbo, I'm Doug Fernandes, and we'll see you next week on the Grid.